Hello, good morning and good evening for this Sashiko Live Streaming. This is Atsushi. This is the Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. I will be doing Sashiko stitching while talking about Sashiko. I hope that audio is good. Just a second. Okay, that's good. All right, what else? What else do I have to do? I think everything is good. I will be changing the camera soon to show my hands more. This one is two things. Hello, good morning from Hong Kong. Hello, thank you so much for coming, Lily-san. I'll be switching the camera soon. Just a second, this text is not good too. Text has to be English. There we go. And yes, we will talk about. I brought the topic today about sort of the social media / trend. I've been sharing a lot of videos on Instagram and Facebook, so I will talk about that as well. Yep, that's about it. If you have any questions about Sashiko, please let me know. I will talk about Sashiko's cultural perspective. I am not gonna talk about some technical perspective. It's on the YouTube already, and I do offer the Sashiko class, so please consider that or keep watching the YouTube. Besides that, I will be your topic, your request for the topic would be very much appreciated. Hello. All right, so I will I will change the camera soon now. There we go. I hope everybody's doing good. Oh, one last thing. The whole purpose of this live streaming is to make a place to be. I do not reject anybody. I do not reject, or I do not deny anybody, and I do not plan to chase anybody if they decided to leave. This is the place for everybody to be together for no specific purpose. So if you could bring some of the Sashiko project, it doesn't have to be Sashiko, something that you can work on while listening to this, please do so. There's not gonna be any lectures or any tutorials on this live streaming. It's more like a place and time together, spending time together over the internet. We call it ibasho in Japanese, and this is the ibasho for that. Okay. ちょっと待ってね。Hello, thank you so much for coming, Shinobu-san. What am I gonna do? Oh, this one is gonna be off. Okay, I'm here back. Good morning. I'm extremely sleepy. I've been walking outside. I'm going indigo, and it's kind of a nice time. I have to work whenever it's not raining, so today was one of those. I tried to use the glove, but my nails are pretty dirty today. I think I was playing with the dirt a little bit, so it might be a little bit dirty. What was I doing last? Oh, this one. Just a second. Okay, let me find where I was last time. I went this way, that way, this way, that way, coming back from this way, and then where was I? Where was I? Really? Okay. So if you follow my account on Instagram or YouTube, I think you found 2 short videos. Even on YouTube, I uploaded 1 short video. I think that's the way to go, huh? At this age, in this society, writing that much is really not the it has to be somebody. It has to be somebody like me, weird, strange people to read that much with spending so much time. I mean, reading takes a longer time than watching a minute video. So I understand it. Like, it is much, much easier for them to understand my message, as well as it is probably for me too easy to deliver the message. And I used to, and I still don't prefer that. It's not my first choice, because to I want to share the importance of between the lines. That's very important to understand Japanese culture. But it is what it is. The videos and short, some feed to the instant gratification is very important to deliver the message. I mean, as much as I complain, as much as I speak up that the voice has to be heard. It's not my choice to do it. It's, they have to choose to listen, and that voice has to be somewhat easier to listen for that matter. So, well, there are a lot of things to do. This is something I have to fight every single day. I usually do not reply to the DM, direct message to my box. The reason is that those people who ask me the question without reading the basic things, for example, the link from my profile, like there's a tons of information from the link on the link. There's a tons of information on the page from the link. For example, the online class link is just right there. If you have a time to click that link, you'll get the information right there. But there are many people, not only few, there are many people who do not even do that and automatically expect answers for that. And for the marketing perspective, for the business perspective, I should reply it one by one, or I should set up the automatic reply. Neither of those are not my preference. Either of them are not my preference. Instead, I decided to not to reply unless I feel something. The reason is that I don't want to say almost 100%, but almost 100% with the people who ask me those simple questions do not continue Sashiko. They just need the answer, and they feel like they know about Sashiko, and that's unfortunately more than half of the people I encounter online. And those are the people who I'm fighting back. Besides that, everybody's fine. I hope that you understand that Sashiko can be practiced by anybody. But this society became pretty difficult to survive for the people like me, I guess. At the same time, as much as I complain like this, there are many people who listen to our voice, and that's the reason I keep doing that. That's the hope that I'm carrying it. It's gonna be. It will be. Sashiko will be fine. Sashiko is fine. I don't know about that a few years ago, but now I'm pretty sure that Sashiko will be fine. It's just a matter of how painful it's gonna be for the next generation, not me, next generation. And I want to make it as less painful as possible. And you're part of it, and I really appreciate that. It's really tricky. Those people who I want to deliver the message are not the people here. You're not the one who I want to deliver the message, because you will receive it regardless. You are here already, so I don't really have to deliver the message. You are here to listen, so I don't really have to particularly deliver the message. But those I have to deliver the message, they try to not to listen to that. That's the challenges, I think, in many cultural practice, or for that, any unbalance. Well, hello. And the ultimate expression of that scary, not ignorance, but more like I'm not gonna listen to the troublesome story. I'm not gonna. It does not matter. Some people really do not care about the stories behind it. As long as it's beautiful, they are okay with it. And it happens. It really happens. And I sometimes, not sometimes already, it's more often than I thought, but I often find the comment or reply that sometimes people ask, is this Sashiko or not? And it really, there's no answer for that. It can be Sashiko, it cannot be Sashiko. It really depends on the preference and also somebody's understanding. And it is perfectly fine to discuss if it is Sashiko or not based on their understanding or based on their knowledge. And of course, I find some answers preferable, some answers I don't like those answers. It can be both. But the discussion itself is good. I don't really find it annoying. Discussion itself is gonna deepen the understanding overall. But in those discussions, I often find that people saying that it does, like, I don't care, it's beautiful. I don't care, it's beautiful. That's probably the topic I listed today. But it is true. I don't care, it's beautiful, so what's the point of talking about it? That's the violence in the cultural, I don't want to say appropriation, but cultural practice. It is true that it's beautiful, so we don't have to worry. Like, it doesn't matter, I don't care about it. Is a good comment if they are talking about their own culture without using somebody's cultural word. But if non-Japanese people who does not speak Japanese start saying that I don't care, it's beautiful, yet still using the word Sashiko, that's a little, not even little, that's a very much scary thing. And it has been happening. That's one of the main source of my suffering. So, and there's no way to change that. There's no way to change it unless uh, the majority has to be different. Like, majority has to be the people who listen. Otherwise, there's no way to change it, because that's also true. I don't care. It's beautiful is also true in many cases. It's more like the instant gratification. It's a very good marketing as well. So it's not wrong itself, but it is very wrong, very violent when we talk about cross-cultural topic. Candida, as you say, reading between the lines in Japanese culture is very important for understanding. I have looked at Kabuki theater for over 25 years, and learning something new about the history, etc. never stops. Yes, I'm not very qualified to talk about Kabuki or performing art, but it is very difficult. Language is the result of the culture, in my understanding. The Japanese culture, Japanese language itself is a representation of Japanese culture. For that, we have to imagine a lot in the conversation based on the expectation between us. One of the significant difference between English and Japanese from language perspective is that often we don't use subject when we talk casually between among the conversation. So right now, when I say something, I always use the word I, subject, to specify that who is talking. In Japanese, it is assumed that I am talking because I'm talking right now. Therefore, I don't have to really use the subject I, which has 9 or 8 or 9 way to say I. But we really do not, unless we have to specify that, we don't use the subject. And the verb comes at the end of the sentence. So reading line sounds kind of difficult, but it's not that difficult when it comes to the language. It is more like imagining what's going to happen in the conversation. That's the key. And in order to get that, the imagining something cannot be a skill or cannot be something that we suffer from. It has to be a natural reaction to each conversation. That's another reason to ask many people to study Japanese when they want to teach Sashiko. I don't think they understand that significance of those reading between lines in Sashiko. Like Sashiko is more like a communication without a language for me. Like none of my teachers really taught me verbally. They did not really specify what I'm saying right now. It's the true story is based on my experience. But even my teaching itself, nobody taught me the way I teach. Nobody summarized the whole technique into 6 hours. Nobody did that. I'm summarizing my 10 years into 6 hours. That's the reason I teach. But that's how it is. You have to be in the restaurant for 10 years to be a apprentice of a sushi chef. To be apprentice, not a sushi master. You have to be in sushi restaurant for 10 years to be apprentice of the sushi chef. And they don't teach. That's the sort of, there's no word, not a no, but there's very few words to communicate. So is Sashiko, so is other Japanese culture. On the other hand, Western culture, the English culture, we have to define, we have to depend on the language because we are very different. We're from very different countries, from different cultural background. So without the language, without great language like English, we cannot communicate each other without the issue. You don't have to, you might not agree with this, but who dominates this world right now? Have you ever thought about who dominates this world right now? I don't want to talk about conspiracy or something scary. Like, generally speaking, and from the normal perspective, normal understanding of this world, what is dominating us right now? What dominates us? What do we live under? Don't, I'm not gonna talk about politics, so don't say Fox News or CNN. Don't say that. Don't specify that. But just in general, don't go right or wrong. Don't In general, what do we live under? This is my understanding, so it can be wrong, but I understand that we live under the legal system. We have to follow the law. Not have to, but we follow the law so we can keep the sanity. There's something illegal, there's something criminal, there's something legal, those things changes over time. Marijuana is becoming legal in some states and not, still not good. But it is the legal system that define this cultural sanity. Because of that, language is extremely important in this culture. Without the language, law doesn't exist, legal system doesn't exist. And it is true that the Japanese society is following the legal system as well. At the same time, it's the Sashiko's principle, not principle, Sashiko's original, probably they did not have that much legal system back then. Instead of the law, punishment, they felt more like shame in the community. Shame came before the punishment. And in order to understand that, language is quite important. I mean, I'm not asking you to master Japanese to practice Sashiko or to enjoy Sashiko. Don't worry about it. This live streaming is for that. Instead of you spending, many years to learn Japanese and then live in Japan and go through this hectic process, I want to see it, part of Japanese culture. So I'm trying to explain that in English. And there's nothing you need to worry about to practice Sashiko. This is, trying, acknowledging is good enough. But when they teach or even publish a book about Sashiko as if that's the answer, that's a quite big missing link there that we read between the line. And those between line means the nonverbal communication, which include stitching. And that's why it is extremely dangerous to say, I don't care, it's beautiful. It's a very, very, very dangerous word. It's true. It's true for them. It's true in many countries. It's true in many, many value system. I might say the same thing. I might say that the same thing sometimes in the different things. But when we try to communicate, discuss cross-cultural topic, that is very, very, very dangerous. But they don't care. They get upset. They really do not want to think about it. Because what they want to have is just the answer there. And is there anything I can do? Probably not. I can speak up, but I don't think I can change them, because if they can change, they would have been different by now. That's why it's more like not a you per se, but it's you actually. It's you who can sort of be part of this sort of questioning ourselves. Is this really it? And the majority people follow that questioning, being mindful, being acknowledging it. Then the trend picks up. Another trend will start picking it up, like what's going on. And that's the time we can really discuss the whole picture. Until that, I have to keep speaking up regardless. I may have to say the same thing, which I do not like. I wish I can say something different every time, but that's probably not the good way to do it. There are a lot of topics I would like to talk about, like yin and yang. Probably the most interesting topic I should and I like to get into is the Japanese spirituality, like Shinto, more like Shinto. I'm not qualified to talk about Shinto. I'm not, I am not qualified. But at the same time, there are many side stories, more like folk. The Shinto itself is the way of believing spirit, right? So it's very established. At the same time, there's a practice that many ordinary people believe those spirit as the part of the big Shinto. Those are a little bit different from the mainstream, and there's no right or wrong. Again, those things are just the fact, not the right or wrong. But by understanding those small talks, many Japanese culture or product or even stories started making sense. If you like Ghibli, the animation film, they follow a lot of those spiritual ideas. They're genius, so you will find a lot of you will find the deeper stories from their anime by learning, by understanding the possible spiritual stories. Like Spirit Away is one movie which can be confusing. I don't know why many people like that movie without understanding the Japanese culture. I don't know if I would like it if I do not understand the background of the Japanese culture. But it was very good movie for me. It's the horror. It's the horror. It's not a fantasy. It's not a fantasy. It's the horror movie for me. But it was a good one. It's really very simple. Just respect the origin of whatever you learned from other culture. Yep. Yep. So it's not that difficult. Like, it can be difficult, it can be deeper, but it can be deeper. It can be a lot, but it's not difficult. The same as Sashiko, it's not difficult, it's really simple, but it's not shallow. And the respect is respect is very true. Like, if you respect the culture or stories behind it, that's good. But respect has to have a better feeling, right? Like, you have to like it to respect. Not always, but it's more likely to like it if you respect it. Like, I do respect the Japanese culture, means I have a good feeling about the Japanese culture. I'm not asking the respect per se. It doesn't have to be the respect as the positive feeling. It can be negative feeling that I don't like it. I don't like what Atsushi says is a good way to communicate. I'm not expecting everybody to like me or like what I say. The point is that they do not acknowledge it. Acknowledgement is the key for this. And unfortunately, people try to ignore. They try to Google, they try to look for the answers until they find the answer they want. Yeah? Yes, they try to look for the answers until they find the answer they like to get to support what they do. And in this world, unfortunately, not unfortunately, in this world, it's scary. We can find the answer you want. It can be completely opposite of what it is believed. It can be anything. You can find both extreme answers if you Google enough. It does not matter what is the majority for those people, and usually they don't really care about the credential. Right? Like, even right now, the small world of Sashiko, what you can learn in English from the non-Japanese people is their interpretation, their experience, their understanding of what Sashiko is, which you cannot really make sure, confirm that they learned from Japanese, or they are in Japan, or they can even communicate with Japanese people somehow to learn what Sashiko is. We don't know that. You don't know that. But we kind of trust that based on what they do, how they market it, what is the publisher doing it. So it's our choice. By keep researching it, we will find the answer we want. That's the scary part of this world, the internet. Before the internet, the information was more defined well in one direction. We didn't have to collect everybody's opinions. because there was the authorities who make those answers. But now everything becomes an opinion. It was 3 years ago. There was a big discussion about what Sashiko is, and I was still debate. I did not. I was very naive back then, and I was trying to share whatever I could to those who did not want to hear the voice from Japanese people. They did not want to hear anything. They wanted to go with whatever they enjoyed. They what he was teaching, he or she, he. I think he looked like he, but I shouldn't say probably he. But anyway, they were teaching already, and yeah, they was teaching, so they did not want to hear anything about sort of contradicting what they was teaching. As the result, I think their answer to me, they concluded our discussion saying that I am not asking your opinion. And I stood wondering, look, am I sharing my opinion on what Sashiko can be? Yes, it is opinion. At the same time, it's the story. I, of course, have my opinion, but when I have an opinion, I say, what is opinion? So it's not really opinion, it's the story. That's why I keep saying the Sashiko story, that became my account name. It's not really opinion, it's just the story, and it's not the choice of denying it or listening to that. But everything become a choice. Everything becomes a choice of opinion, and that's how scary the social media is. And that's today's topic. It is one of the most difficult comment. Not a difficult, a dangerous comment is that. I mean, the violent comment is that I don't care, but I like it because it's beautiful, is one way to destroy a lot of stories. So I don't know what I have to do to change that. I probably don't. I mean, I do have a strategies, but I do not have a silver bullet, like a remedy that I can use right now to fix it. It's just gonna take a long time, and it's probably too late to sort of advocate it without the pain. It's already changed a great part of that. So it's gonna be difficult, but I gotta keep doing it. There is no way to just simply give up. But ask them to stitch in front of you, though. Ask them to, if you're learning Sashiko from somebody else, ask them to stitch from, ask them to stitch in front of you, and see if they can talk like this. I'm sorry to say, like, I don't want to compare it, but sometimes I wonder if they stitch. Some people teach. Do they stitch? Because I'm not stitching as much as I want. I'm stitching probably 1/10 of the time I would like to be stitching, because I have to spend so much time preparing. Teaching is a one full-time job, so it's not that easy. Especially if we have stores or something like that, it's another full-time job. So sometimes I feel like, are they stitching? I used to feel very strange when I lived in China. In December, every place was decorated for Christmas, but no one knew why they were decorating. I often heard, we just like it, it's beautiful. Wow, that's scary. And it happens in Japan too. Like, I am talking as if I don't want you to think that all Westerns are appropriating another Eastern culture like that. I don't want you to kind of think in two-dimensional. It is happening in Japan as well. I'm not saying Japanese people are doing better job. It is we are we are saying that I like it because it's beautiful. I like it it's because it's cool. That's not the only happening here in Sashiko or US or Western culture. It is happening everywhere in this world, regardless where we are. But we have to understand that it is destroying the culture behind it. I am so sorry to say it. If you're Christian, this is really insulting, and I'm sorry on behalf of many other Japanese. But when I was a kid, when I was in high school, the Christmas was the day to eat KFC and try to have romantic time with girlfriend. I don't know if I should say that, but eating KFC, I don't know why KFC, but KFC chicken, fried chicken, and try to go to the hotel with your girlfriend or boyfriend. That was the Christmas Eve, not the family time. That's how marketing changed that. Of course, many Japanese people know that the Christmas is for the Christian, but that's not so important for them because they have a different purpose. My point is, though, they don't teach what Christmas is, and I hope they don't. If they do, I'm sorry, and that's another story, but they don't spread that. So it is happening everywhere, and it's probably it often comes like I don't like the word privilege, but the people with a lot of power take somebody else without the power, especially like for example, English is a great power, so usually English taking another culture. At the same time, Japanese is also strong in that. So we do a lot of things. So I'm not talking about two-dimensional things. So please don't think about dualism. Dualism is also very Western, and of course Japanese. Japanese became like Western last 20, not last 20, last 40, 50 years, I guess. Americans are already misappropriating their own Christmas holiday. Yeah, that's another reason I don't do any holiday season sales. I should probably do it to make my ends meet because I do have some that not a dead inventory, but I don't, there's some way to always make a sale, but no, that doesn't sound right to me. I'm not criticizing others, but what's the point of Black Friday if it starts on Wednesday night? Like the Black Friday sales start tonight. Oh, what? That's still Monday. I mean, that's still Wednesday. And the Christmas sales continue to what, 28th? Hmm? Like it was fun to, like Black Friday sales was fun when there was no online shopping. I've done it only once in my life because I was in school and internet was already there, but there was not that much online shopping. It was fun, but now it's something. But that's how it is. That's how it is, and it's there's no meaning. There's no point of complaining. That I'm not here to complain about those things. It is what it is. We get a benefit out of it too, and we have to accept it. As much as we might not like it, we have to accept those things, those changes. My point is it okay to just ignore those things if it's related to somebody's own identity? The answer is no. Somebody has to speak up, and I have to speak up, because if I don't speak up, nobody will be speaking up, and that's the end of the culture. I don't know anybody, like the whole point is I don't know anybody who speaks English and Japanese with this many years of experience in Sashiko. there are many, there's not many, there's some Japanese people who can speak English starting the Sashiko recently, like 10 years, 5 years. They're good, they are great. I'm not criticizing them at all. They're great. At the same time, I would like to have a teacher who can teach me. So that's another reason I keep asking others who they learn from. And their answer is I told myself, that ends the story there. No, I'm not gonna criticize who you learn from. If you learn from this live streaming, that's fine. I'm saying you should copy it. Please copy it. Please, imitate whatever you can. My point is that I wanna find the person who teach those things, the core of Sashiko, to somebody else. They don't speak Japanese, which means that the teacher spoke in English or somebody translated. I don't know, but I want to find somebody besides my teachers because they are sort of gone by now. I'm kind of lonely, I guess. That's the reason I keep asking who is your teacher. But none of them are. I have not found anybody. Well, anybody's a little bit too exaggeration. The Wada Sensei, Yoshiko Wada, Miss Yoshiko Wada, who is the founder of Slow Fiber Studio and Shibori World Shibori Network. She's like a pioneer of Shibori dyeing technique or culture. She is like my mentor for that because she can speak both language, and also she has a very good experience in both practicing and teaching in her field, Shibori. So she sometimes give me a nice feedback, which can be sometimes scary or sometimes very frustrating for me to hear. But it's valid, so I try to listen to that. But I just like to know who is those. And if they're none, if they don't exist, then I have to speak up more. Just to preserve what it is. I feel like it is a little bit undervalued for that. I mean, I often say this one, but let's say if you go to school, okay? If you go to school and one is teaching American history or something, for example, like I have to take like if I were to be citizen in the US, I'm not qualified to apply for that right now yet. But if I were to be American citizen, I have to take an exam. That's how test works, right? And if you go to school and then you take let's say, American history, and the teacher does not speak English at all, what kind of American history can he teach? I don't know, because the English is the main language the people speak in the US. Right? So, I mean, not everybody have to speak English to be in the US. Like, that's crazy to expect that. So I'm not expecting everybody to be able to speak Japanese in Sashiko. It's crazy. Anybody can enjoy that. But those who sort of lead the trend, I want them to be able to speak the dominant language for that. Is it too much to ask? Is the president do not speak English in the United States? Is it sort of okay? I mean, it's probably very different, two different stories, but it's I feel like that sometimes. What is so twisted? Why is it okay to excuse? I am the Sashiko master without being able to speak Japanese sounds very strange. I would like to ask them what the master is to them. Like Googling for several hours is already a master or something. See, I'm getting bitter, right? That's okay because I decided to be bitter. I decided to take all the filters. I think it's too much for I have had it enough. I tried to be nice and I am trying to be nice still, but I don't think I have to have filters anymore. That's the reason I kind of keep making a lot of Instagram reels. Many people advise me that I shouldn't care about those people who leave the hateful messages, and I understand in my brain, but I do not feel like that. I don't care about those people is not what I like to do. So I do want to care. I really do care. Like if they can listen to what I say, I like to communicate. So ignoring is not my thing. But sometimes I just realize that I don't have to filter things neither too. If they don't filter what they say, I don't have to be nice to them. I just don't want to ignore them, but I don't have to be nice to them too. So that's kind of a good realization to feel good about it. To feel not good, to feel easy about what I'm doing. So I might not. But I hope what I say is not so uncomfortable for you, because what I'm saying is not that difficult for those who are willing to learn. Like you don't, I keep saying like you don't have to study Japanese, you don't have to do anything, you don't have to just acknowledge what I'm saying, acknowledge the other people saying, and that's it. But for others who I think who are making money out of Sashiko, what I say is extremely uncomfortable. Because they have to probably change what they have been telling their client, their students, what it is, if they decided to listen to what I'm saying. And that's the reason I don't. That's the reason I have a lot of negative comments, I guess. But yeah, I knew that I wouldn't be liked by every single people, but I think I was trying to subconsciously. Now I realize it consciously that it's not gonna happen, so I am mindfully taking off those filters away. Again, it's not my point to attack somebody specific, so I will not be like, it's not gonna be the nasty live streaming so much, but I want to understand what is going on right now, and that's how scary it is to see one cross-cultural practice in English, how filtered it is. There's so many Japanese words which became completely different in the US. If someone was to learn from you and want to do some teaching eventually, what would you expect from them? If someone was to learn from you and want to do some teaching eventually, what would I expect from them? Nothing. In fact, I am asking everybody to teach. Didn't you get that, Candida? Please teach. If you take my workshop, online class, and if you feel like you can teach, go ahead. Just don't say that you taught it yourself. Like, I want you, nothing is a bad, I'm sorry, it's not nothing. I want them to keep the stories. Like, many people advise me that that's the way to make fortune. I have to make a certification. I don't know how many people, like many people told me, like every time I say that, like I have to make my ends meet. That means like I'm not really doing great in finance, right? And every time I talk about it, they keep saying like, Atsushi, you have to make certification. Like you make one certification and make a pyramid that I teach those people on those like master certification, those people I give them the permission to teach so that they can teach other people so that the other people can teach. So you have to make those, sort of pyramid. I don't want to make a pyramid, but that's the way. It doesn't have to be a big pyramid. It can be one layer. No, one layer of the pyramid, but you have to make a certification and registration fees, annual fees, anything to make them a teacher. You gotta do that, and I don't feel like that because what I'm teaching is very ordinary things for the Japanese people, like riding a bike. Do you have to go to school to teach how to ride a bicycle? Like, do you like tomato sauce? Like, in order to make a grandma's tomato sauce, do you have to really ask somebody for the permission to teach? No, but I don't want to keep saying that you taught yourself how to make tomato sauce, especially if you learned that from the grandmother. That's the story. Like I taught it myself is a very dangerous word to end the stories because that person may be eliminating the memory from the grandma. I don't know why, but that's the case. So eventually, like if I did not get that from my workshop, my online class, I do not I do not really verbally ask everybody to teach after the workshop, but if they want to teach, go ahead. I really don't have any problem with that. Mm, I may wanna ask to show. Well, I don't really. It's your interpretation, so I may ask to show me the posture or stitching or some practice if one decided to teach on my behalf. I may ask you to show me and let me confirm or talk about Sashiko a little bit deeper so that you can speak on my behalf. But if you are teaching Sashiko the way you learned from it, like more like interpretation version of that, the only things I would ask is to say that your Sashiko's origin is this. So then they can root that. Does it make sense? If the stories can continue. By saying so, the stories continue. If they want to learn something more, they can come to me to learn more. If they're happy with if they are happy with you stitching, you're teaching, they can stay there too. That's perfectly fine. But by saying that your stories continues, I just need a continuation because it's a cultural things. So somehow I did not mention that, but there are people who is teaching in Australia. Well, strictly speaking, it's very outside of the. It's more like a wishful thinking. But if the teacher can speak Japanese, that'd be great because you will have more resources besides me. Though I don't want you to trust me 100%. Please don't. I mean, don't trust me. I want you to trust me, but I don't want you to have me as only one source of information when we talk about cultural practice, because that's quite dangerous. So for that purpose, if the person can speak Japanese even a bit, it would be helpful because you can ask others how they would understand Sashiko. But That being said, I don't have any problem. But the reason I think not many people teach right now is that they do. I don't want to discourage you to teach, but the more you enjoy Sashiko, the less you may be confident teaching. Because the more you know what you don't know. And that's the feeling I received from the other Japanese people who ask me if they can teach. And I keep saying that they can teach, but it's gonna come back. It's gonna this is my 4th year, right? So 4th year, if I continue this for another 5 years, I believe that there are gonna be other famous teachers around in the world if the Sashiko continues to be Sashiko it is. I think so. And there are some teachers in in Japan and in Australia, maybe in Canada. There's no update from her. Anyway, it's little by little growing. But unfortunately, I do not offer certification. I do not offer any training program to be the Sashiko teacher. I can support, I can help individually, but there's no packages I'm making. You don't need a package to teach Sashiko. And this is extremely speaking, extreme case scenario. You don't have to take online class or workshop too. I mean, I want you to help me by taking those, and I can assure that by taking the online class or workshop, I can give you the core and essence, which adjusted, modified to your case. So there will be less misunderstanding. We can be on the same page, but at the same time, it does not really require. I mean, there's no requirement to teach Sashiko because there's no. Again, only thing is the acknowledgement. If you keep watching this and then if you decided to teach Sashiko somewhere else, if you keep coming here and if you keep watching this, you learn how to do Sashiko by watching this and then decided to teach. If you say that you taught it yourself, that's a little bit of a problem. Because you probably taught it yourself, but you watched this. So you used this video to teach yourself. And in order to continue this, in order to have continue stories, I want to mention this live streaming so they can understand what they're learning from. But that's about it. But that's probably the most difficult things right now in this world. Because they automatically think that I will take those royalties up. I'm gonna suck them up. I don't know. Do you think I'm like that? If I were, I would have been different business. I wouldn't be doing Sashiko. I don't know, just so many insecurities, and I don't like that. Well, but I understand. I was like that. I was like that person until the age of 30, which is about 10 years ago. I was like that anyway, so I don't blame that. It's very understandable to be like that. But at the same time, it is very sad if they have to say that they taught themselves, even though they know where they learned from, because they are purposefully ending the stories there for their profit or something for their purpose, which I don't know. If they want to be famous, if they want to do something, I don't know, but it's so sad. But that's about it. I hope it makes sense. it's crazy. I understand it's crazy, but this is my, I've been doing Sashiko for entire my life, and I can speak English right now because I did not want to do Sashiko at all. I tried to evacuate from Sashiko, and I did successfully evacuate for several years. So I know what Sashiko is for us, and I know how difficult it is to make money out of Sashiko. So if my goal is to be rich, I wouldn't be choosing Sashiko. This is a horrible way to make money. I mean, I like it, so it's a good idea to have this as a business, as a like, side business, I guess. Like doing something I like and making small money is probably a good. It's a good format for Sashiko. But having like making an empire of Sashiko is no, it's not gonna happen. If that would be an option, it has been Sashiko would have been like one of those established Japanese culture, like Kado, Sado, Sashiko Do. There's no Sashiko Do here because it's too ordinary. They couldn't do it. I mean, Kado or Sado, they are gigantic family established, system, and they are making good money as long as I know. But that's not a principle. That's not the core. And if I miss the core, we lose the value of what we do. So I hope I'm not asking too much, but I think it is too much for some people. I hope it's not too much for those who are here today. Well, has been 1 hour. Always time flies fast. Time flies, yeah, like I don't know. If you're watching this from archive, and if you have any questions about Sashiko culture or Sashiko story, please leave the comment. I may be able to bring that questions to the next session, next live streaming next week, and I will talk about if there's any option for that. And yes, I always say this one toward the end of the live streaming because of this honesty or less filtering. I am getting several haters, which is a good sign that I have a lot of followers. I'm just kidding, but I still having haters. Haters must love me because every time I upload the video, they try to dislike it. So if that's the one person or two people, that's a massive work. I don't even check every single video, so that's a massive work for their dislikeness. But anyway, those dislike button is really not helping the YouTube channel health, and it's not like the bad mark itself is bad. It's the ratio of a good like button and then dislike button. So if you could help me out by clicking the like button to keep this account health, that's very much appreciated. Is there a workshop in Lewisburg? That's a little bit surprised. Do I say that I live in Lewisburg? Yes, I do live in Lewisburg. There used to be. I used to offer the live streaming, not live streaming. I used to offer the workshop here in my house before the COVID, but after the pandemic, I stopped doing that. It's quite small, and the social distance cannot be promised in this area. Plus, I have a daughter who might bring something from the school, so I don't think it's a best place to do so. But if there's any space, like somebody's house, I don't know if Iron Work have the space for that. But if there's any space for me to teach, I can arrange one. I have done so many times already. Somebody's house is probably the best option for that, but I can arrange it. And one is coming, it's a private one, so I cannot publicly announce it, but I am going to the Harrisburg for the Labor Day weekend for one-day workshop. So yeah, usually the traveling is gonna skyrocket the fee. Like I have to fly, the lodge. Those are the reason that my workshop can be pricey. But if it's in Lewisburg and if there's a space for that, it does not. It it may be cheaper than online class because online class I do offer almost unlimited help until they can do it or until they keep coming. There's not that much things to teach in terms of technique, so I spend, well, I mean, I'll be there until they can do it. But yeah, I do offer the Lewisburg, but not like regularly by appointment. There was one inquiry though. Did I say that I live in Lewisburg? Oh, thank you so much for the good buttons. Well, I mean, I keep saying that everywhere, but I live in the Lewisburg, yes. Out of nowhere. Okay. I hope I can travel everywhere one day to see everybody though. That's my dream. Yeah, we cannot be too careful. Yes, thank you. Yes, I used to have, and I can have the workshop in Leesburg. Of course, of course. Of course, it's perfectly fine. And it is my goal to go to, it is my goal to visit as many cities as possible in the future when the COVID is over. So it's just, it changed everything. Unfortunately, it changed a lot of things. I used to go to New York every 3 weeks. Now I cannot go to New York. It became too pricey to get the place, and you know, it's more difficult right now. Instead, I go, oh, there's one workshop confirmed in Florida again, thanks to this Suzanne from IF5 Studio. It's gonna be next April, almost a year from now. That's the third time I offer, which means that I'm glad that I can keep offering something satisfactory. So that's one thing in April 2023. Other than that, mm, I, I don't want it to sound like advertisement, but I think online class is a good way to. It's better than I thought. I spent a lot of time in the pandemic time because I had so many cancellation of the workshop, and I had time to invest in that. So video itself is sort of it's good and but the live session I probably can do a lot. Many people can't stitch like me, and after you can do it, it's really not my work to do. It's them, it's you who keep stitching. So did you mention the folk art market in Santa Fe to the stitches in Atsushi? Nope. Santa Fe market? Did you mention the folk art market in Santa Fe to the stitches? Did they go to the Atsushi place? Maybe. Sorry, Helen, I did not get the question. I don't think they're accepting. They were hesitant to accept me. Last time I contacted them, like, Atsushi, are you coming from the US? I don't think the people here would like that because of the pandemic. Yes, I know. That's why I'm not going. I can get in Japan right now, right? As a citizen, I can get into Japan, but they wouldn't probably like it. But yeah, and the Japan tour, the Sashiko Japan tour is coming next September, hopefully. And hopefully means that when they should open up the country before that. And I am hoping that I can, not hoping, it has to be open. So that's one way to learn what the Japanese Sashiko is like more closely. I'm a high school English teacher. These days, the students have been wearing masks. Haven't been wearing masks. Numbers are dropping, but still feel like I want to wear a mask. Yeah, like, I don't know about. I personally speaking, I'm more like easier side for that, but it's a choice, and then we are now living in the completely different world, so imagination would be important to respect each other. We cannot decide what is right and wrong based on, I mean, if you know the guidelines say that we have to wear the mask, it's, you know, we have to wear the mask, but mask can be a very good personal protection too, so it's really up to because I'm Japanese, I really don't have any obstacle to wear the mask. We used to wear, like, we wear the mask no matter what. It's, oh, it's so cold, let's wear the mask. It's kind of, you know, true. Oh, it's so dry, I'm not gonna have a good voice today. Who cares? But I did care about the voice, so I used to wear the mask in sleep. I don't know why I was carrying that. Like, for example, in the airplane when I was flying back and forth from the Japan and US, it's so dry in the airplane, so I was wearing the mask with the moisture pack installed in front of the mask, so your throat is not gonna get completely dry. I don't know what I was doing, but that's how we love masks, even before. Yeah, it's It's an interesting thing to do. Okay, I'm gonna finish after this line. So if you have any questions, please let me excuse me. If you have any questions to carry it on to the next live streaming, please let me know. And otherwise, every Thursday night we will stitch together. I said that I will take down the filters. At the same time, I try to not to complain all the time. I want to express how difficult it is, or sometimes how painful it is, because otherwise I cannot really explain why I'm doing this. At the same time, it's not the whole purpose of this live streaming. Sharing the story is the goal of this Sashiko live streaming. So if you have any specific topic, please let me know. It's a good way to sort of get the real voice, because I have no, like, if you leave the comment right now, I can have a week to study about those topic, right? If you give me the topic right now in the live streaming, I cannot do that, which means I have to squeeze the answers out from my knowledge. That's quite raw. In the society where we can modify anything to become the answer, live Q&A can be quite, without script too, that can be quite something. I think I can finish this tomorrow. Time flies. Hope it is gonna be a good weekend for you. Did I miss anything to say today? My brain are still frying, so as always, my brains are shutting off at the like after 10 o'clock, my brain is still shutting down. So I wasn't gonna do this line, but I threaded already without realizing it, subconsciously or even like autopilot. I am stitching autopilot, and I thread the needle autopilot. And this is kind of my rules, but I do not like the needles with the thread on. I mean, it's my preference. Many people do the opposite. They like to have a thread on the needle all the time. I personally don't like it. I want the needles to have no thread when they rest. So I try to finish. I'm not gonna stitch after this live streaming, so I would like to finish this much thread so that I can leave all the needles empty. I think we can all have some, not rules, but routine. For example, I take shoes off, I wash my feet, I rinse myself, I do yoga, I do the Zen meditation, I bow to statue before I start stitching, which is completely a joke. I'm not gonna do any of those. I just start stitching not out of nowhere. But it's a joke. It's a joke, or sort of the irony, because I still remember the comment, but somebody really accused me for being emotional on Sashiko. And their argument was that Sashiko is so meditative that I should be calm before stitching. My answer is, what the heck are you talking about? I have to calm myself before stitching? No, I can get calm after stitching as the result, but I don't have to prepare. Do you do like a ceremony before you start making mac and cheese? Like instant one though. Not like a regular one, like mac and cheese. I mean, if you do, that's perfectly fine, but that's not the ordinary to me. So there's no ceremony, there's no rituals, but some preference, I guess. And then one preference is that I do not have the thread on the needles when I finish. It's crazy. Like, where did you get that information? I still, like, I want to ask him, like, what the heck is going on? It was her, I don't know. I really, like, I wanted to ask the person, what is Sashiko to them? Like, do I have to take shower before I start stitching to cleanse myself? Do you know what Sashiko was practiced by those people? That's crazy. That's really too romanticizing intercultural, international, intercultural topic. But that's how it is. That's how the people interpret in this culture, in different culture. I cannot stop it. That's why I have to ask you to keep learning so that the world will change eventually. Okay. A lot of this is my third year or fourth year starting the live streaming. Here and there, this is my first year to start live streaming every single Thursday night. So has been a few months, I guess, that I started doing that. But before, I used to offer irregular live streaming in English, mainly in Japanese. Japanese version has been on the air so often. Anyway, I am glad that I can talk about Sashiko in English by myself for 90 minutes or so. Thanks to you though. Without your comments, I cannot probably keep doing that. But I think my message has been getting more clear and more articulate. I think that I can say that my English is getting better for that matter. But if you have any question, not a question, request, the request would be very much appreciated. I keep sharing some of the stories in the Patreons as the articles, but sometimes it is a good opportunity for me to brainstorm as well. ありがとうございました。ありがとうございました。日本語。へえ。ありがとうございました。今日の夜もよろしくお願いします。何言ってたっけな。It is a very good way for me to brainstorm what I would like to say. So if you have any specific themes, please let me know. Muchas gracias. Thank you so much from Spain, I guess. Thank you. Or Mexico. しのぶさんもありがとうございました。ずっといてくれたのありがとう。ずっと英語でしたのに。You've noticed that your English is better. It was better when I was my English in drastically decreased between 2015 till 2017 because I only spoke Japanese to my daughter, which means I only spoke that language to her. I didn't have much friend. So yeah, that's the time my language itself decreased. But before that, I know that I was trying to impress my girlfriend, who is now my wife, so my English was better at some point. But yeah, it's getting better and catching up. Language is, there's no magic for the language. You have to keep using it. The more you use it, the better it gets. Of course, there are genius people there, but that's not the case. The more I use it, the better I get. Alright, thank you so much for watching. ありがとうございました。今日の夜は日本語バージョン。日本時間の今日の夜日本語バージョンです。よろしくお願いします。I will see you next Tuesday. Thank you so much.